setting, huh? It's the most clean cut, man.
Yeah, well, I Larry's daughter's wedding on Friday night and a bat mitzvah on Saturday, so I had to
Hold up, you were at the wedding?
You told me that my wife was hot. Yes, you were there.
I also busted my chin open on the dance floor. Yes. Dropped it real low and it split wide open. They're like, you good? I'm like, just patch me up. I need to go back and dance.
No.
Sounds like a fun wedding.
Dude, that. God.
We are, good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, November 12th, 2024, and I'd like to open the Planning Commission. If everyone could stand, please, for Pledge of Allegiance. Standing for 1 moment of silence, and since yesterday was Veterans Day, to honor our veterans, both past and present, for their service, and any personal intentions you may have. Thank you. This evening, we do have 2 items on our agenda, but first we have the consideration of the September 3rd, 2024 Planning Commission meetings, which at this point, we need to table that until next meeting because we don't have enough people here who were in attendance to be able to approve that. So, motion to table?
Motion to table.
Second.
So moved. Our first item on tonight's agenda is land development. 7025 Bristol Pike LLC, care of Vese Badalov. If I didn't pronounce that correct, I apologize. 7025 Bristol Pike, Levittown, tax parcel number 05-074-112-001, requesting preliminary and final land development approval to construct a mini warehouse for additional storage at the above noted location in a C commercial zone district. Anyone here representing?
For better or for worse. Good evening, Commission. Bryce McGuigan from Begley Carlin here on behalf of 7025 Bristol Pike LLC. Thank you for having us here this evening. Before I begin, just like to introduce a few people. First, I have close on the name, Vesal Badalov, who is the owner of the LLC. He's here with us tonight, together with Cody Spadacino and John Genovese of Tri-State Engineers. They're the ones who prepared the plans that you have before you tonight. So with that, we're here tonight to request preliminary and final recommended land development approval for the project located at 7025 Bristol Pike. The property itself is about 1.3 acres. It was currently improved with a dental office right here to the front of the parcel along 13. What we're proposing is a small mini storage facility to the rear of the property that will have 6 units and 6 units only. It's designed to be used by small businesses, local professionals. It's not the type of thing we're going to have a sign out front advertising, hey, storage back here. These are going to be carefully selected tenants for this facility because it needs to blend with the dental office to the front. We want it to be a nice professionally run property, and that's the way we're going to do it. We initially requested variance relief about a year ago, give or take, for the use and for the height of the structure. Those were granted. We then proceeded forward with the land development process, during which time we realized we missed a variance, specifically a special setback from the canal to the rear. So we just received approval for that variance last month before the zoning hearing board. So at this stage, we're again here for recommended preliminary and final approval. It's a rather straightforward project. There's not too many bells and whistles here, but obviously we've had the chance to review the Gilmore review letter and the other review letters at issue. More than happy to discuss those. The only thing I do want to make a comment of before we begin is we know that we submitted these plans back, we got the Gilmore review letter earlier in the summer, and we have not made a formal resubmission of the plans since then to allow Gilmore to review some of the minor changes. We plan on doing that after tonight. Because we discovered, or we were told about, the remaining variance relief that we needed, we kind of put the brakes on to do that process. We confirmed with Gilmore that we didn't have, that we satisfied all of the other zoning pertinent comments, but now that that's out of the way, we plan to make a minor resubmission of this before we go back to council. So we're not going to go to council next week. This is going to be, we're going to give this a little time so we can address some of these outstanding issues. But because none of them are what we would consider substantive in nature, that's why we're before you tonight. We don't want to waste anyone's time, but because they're all kind of minor housekeeping issues, we figure let's keep the ball rolling. So with that, like I said, we're requesting a total of 9 waivers. I'm pleased to say that every other item in the Gilmore review letter is a will comply. I'm more than happy to go through all of our waivers individually, or if the commission would prefer, I can address them on more individual items if need be.
If you could just go through the waivers requested individually.
Not
Perfect.
a problem at all. All right, so if we look at the Gilmore letter, I'll go through them each number by number. So number 1, which is a waiver from 177-14E, it's simply to request preliminary and final simultaneously. Number 2 is from section 177-41K, which is to not require the parking lot to be curbed. Again, rather self-explanatory. This is not going to be, while it's a commercial operation, it's not something where pedestrians are going to be coming and going. But to the extent that we need certain curbing for stormwater management, obviously we'll work with the township on that. Number 3, 177-41Q, which is to not require 2 trees to be planted for every 10 parking spaces. Number 4, 177-48D3, which is to permit grading essentially within 5 feet of the property line. Number 5, waiver 177-51A, which is no street trees. Again, there are no street trees currently existing, and I would submit that street trees here probably wouldn't really work from a traffic perspective. Number 6, 177-51B1. This is a partial waiver. Initially, we requested a waiver for certain buffering requirements for the property. However, as a condition of our zoning approval, we're going to be providing some limited buffering to the rear of the property behind the structure because there's houses on the other side of the canal. So while the buffering may not strictly comply with the standards within the ordinance, we are going to provide some buffering. So that's a limited waiver, a partial waiver. The next is waiver 7, which is basically 2 waivers, which is 177-91A1 and -92A1. These are waivers for certain plan details. So instead of 1 inch equals 50 feet or 100 feet, we're asking for something a little different. 177-91C3 and 92C3, another plan detail waiver request, which is to not identify certain roads, utilities, and other improvements within 200 feet of the property. And the last one is 177-91C6 and 177-92C6, which are waivers to allow contours to be provided at a 1 foot interval instead of 2 or 5 feet. I do also want to mention that we are currently in discussions with Gilmore about possibly adding another waiver to the list that was not previously identified, which relates to the loading spaces that we're proposing on site. So that is a potential 10th waiver here that, again, we're going to hammer out with Kurt and John and everybody. But at the end of the day, those are the waivers at issue. Every other item in the letter is a will comply. And obviously, if the commission has any questions, I have a representative from my client here, together with representatives from our engineering team, and we're more than happy to address any comments or concerns.
Thank you.
Sure.
Commission, are there any questions on this? I will just have one question. So that 10th waiver, if approval is given tonight or recommendation to council, it would also be contingent upon our engineer indicating that there's no issue with that 10th waiver.
No issue with that whatsoever.
Okay. Any comments from the township? No? Okay. With that being said, any questions from the audience? With that being said, I'll entertain a motion.
Make that motion. We would like to recommend to council to grant the subdivision and land development, land development of 7025 Bristol Pike LLC, Visal Badalov? Okay. 7025 Bristol Pike, Levittown, tax parcel number 05-074-112-001, requesting preliminary and final land development approval to construct a mini warehouse for additional storage at the above noted location in a C commercial zoned district, along with the 9 waivers that are requested on page 2 of the Gilmore and Associates letter dated June 6, 2024, on the condition that they are also in compliance with the said letter dated June 6, 2024. Also contingent upon that there's no issue with the 10th waiver coming forward in the future, that there's no issue coming from the engineer with that 10th waiver.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Motion has been granted. Good luck.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
The last item on our agenda tonight is a subdivision land development. It's Third Construction, Inc., care of Troy Brennan, 1909 Veterans Highway, Levittown, requesting subdivision land development approval in order to subdivide the existing parcel into 10 single-family residential lots with associated stormwater management facilities and a cul-de-sac on the property located at 0 Avenue E, Levittown, tax parcel number 05-020-001-005 in an M1 light manufacturing zone district. Do we have someone here tonight representing?
Yes, we do. My name is John Genovese. I work for Tri-State Engineers. We're the engineering company on the proposal. With me is Cody Spadaccino and Dominic Chilberte. So if we could go to the aerial, we have an aerial as part of the plans. We'd like to just look at that first. There we go. So the proposal is for an 11-lot subdivision at the end of Avenue E. Avenue E is in the Newportville section of the township. The site is just over 3 acres, and it's presently wooded, and there's a stream that passes along the northern edge. So the current stream tributary runs through the northern edge. On your right or on the east is southbound 295, and Avenue E is right towards the lower left here. The site is accessible through residential streets off of Newportville Road and off of New Falls Road. So if we could go to the lot layout. I guess that's good enough right there. We have 10 residential lots, 5 along the northern side of the cul-de-sac and 5 along the southern side. And there is a retention MRC type basin proposed for the 11th lot, and that would discharge into the tributary that runs along the northern boundary line. The applicant has been before the zoning hearing board. They were there before on August 12th, 2024, and got several variances to allow for lot size and setbacks and those types of things. The 5 lots on the southern side are all about 5,000 square feet, and the lots on the northern side are from 9,000 to over 10,000 square feet. The floodplain for the stream runs along this edge, and all of the grading and other work will be out of the floodplain. There will be public water and public sewer, and as far as it goes, that's it. As far as the improvements go, we have a letter from Gilmore Associates that's dated November 8th, 2024. And there are, I think, 5 waivers, or 6 waivers. 7 waivers that we identified in the letter from Gilmore and Associates. Besides the waiver, we went through it very carefully over the past couple of days, and we'll comply with all the elements in their letter. I can go through the letter item by item, or we can focus on the waivers. Okay. So going to their letter of November 8th, which the waivers start at the bottom of the second page. The first waiver is from paragraph 177-14E, and it's a waiver to permit the preliminary and final review for the subdivision. Number 2, there are 3 paragraphs in the ordinance: 177-35A, 177-43A, and 177-66A, which is a waiver to excuse the developer from installing sidewalk along the streets. In that section of Newportville, there aren't any sidewalks. Number 3 is a waiver to permit the existing right-of-way width to be maintained. The right-of-way width for Avenue E is now 35 feet, and we'd like to request that that be permitted to carry through into the cul-de-sac. Number 4 is a waiver to allow permit grading within 5 feet of the property line, just to make all the grades work. Number 5 is a partial waiver to allow not all the street trees required to be installed. There are a number of utilities, sewer and water that go into each lot. So we've provided trees where we can to avoid those utilities. Number 6 is a waiver for paragraphs 177-91A, 1 and 177-92A1 to allow the plan not to be drawn at 1 inch equals 50 or 1 inch equals 100, but we have provided plans at 1 inch equals 20, which is a larger scale for clarity. And finally, a waiver from 177-91C3 and 177-92C3 to not have to provide all of the utilities and other improvements within 200 feet of the site. You're welcome.
Kathy, could I just ask a question real quick?
Sure.
John, did you, there was a comment in Saldo section for the irregular shape of the lots. Did you want to add a waiver request for the
Yes,
lots 6 through 10?
we would like to
Partial
add
waiver request?
we would like to have partial waiver requests. The section that we're talking about is, let's see if I can find it. It's section 177-47H. That section of the ordinance suggests that lots should have a depth no greater than 2.5 times the width. We have the lots on the south side comply with that provision of the ordinance. On the north side, those lots are deeper than the ratio that's suggested. The depth is somewhat 4.5 times the width. However, if you look at the limit to where the floodplain limit is, if you consider the depth of the lot to that point, they would comply with the ratio of 2.5 to 1. But as it stands, we still would ask for a waiver, a partial waiver from that section of the ordinance.
Thank you. Kurt, any comments on that?
No, I mean, it's sort of just a matter of bookkeeping on our end. I mean, there's another option. You could make the common ownership of the basin parcel that, you could carve that out and create the lots to be regular shaped. It's really indifferent, for how it's done, in our opinion. To make that part of the stream, part of the lot 11,
Okay,
or I guess it's labeled lot 11 with the basin on it.
okay.
But the way it's set up is also fine. I agree with what Mr. Genovese stated about the, the resource protected areas. The only other question I had, and I don't know if you have the answer tonight, and I'm not sure it's necessary for this evening for Planning Commission's consideration, but do you have a intent on whether the road is going to be private? Will it be sought for dedication? Will it be part of a homeowners association with the lot 11?
I haven't had any discussions with the owner. I don't know if Cody has. Have you?
We were gonna dedicate the road.
Okay, they're gonna dedicate that.
I just think, maybe prior to the council meeting, we should have a meeting with township staff and just get some staff weigh in on that, just so that going into council and, in order for the resolution for council's consideration to have that clarified prior to council, I think that would be good.
Okay,
Along with an updated waiver request letter to add that partial waiver request.
okay. That's very good. We would agree to that.
So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend to council the subdivision and land development for Third Construction Incorporated, CO Troy Brennan, 1909 Veterans Highway, Levittown, in requesting the subdivision and land development approval in order to subdivide the existing parcel into 10 single-family residential lots with associated stormwater management facilities and a cul-de-sac on the property located at 0 Avenue E. Levittown tax parcel number 05-020-001-005 in an M1 light manufacturing zone district. Noted that they are in compliance with the Gilmore and Associates letter dated November 8th, 2024. We would also like to recommend that council grant the 7 waivers requested on pages 2 and 3, and noting that they are adding a partial waiver, number 177-47-H. Also noted that you guys will be giving an updated waiver request letter.
Right.
Okay.
Just to add to that, and meeting with our township engineer prior to that concerning the dedication or not of that street.
Yes.
Thank you, Kathy.
Have a motion and a second.
I would like to second that motion.
All in approval, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
So
you.
passed.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And good
Thank
luck
you.
with the
Thank you.
project.
Kurt.
With that being said, we don't have anything else on our agenda tonight, but before I close, I just want to say to everyone, since it is November, happy Thanksgiving to all our viewing public and to everybody in the community. from all of us on the planning commission. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting closed.